You want to know what the key to breaking free is? Honesty. The time has come for us to take off the rose-colored glasses and to put on our reality check glasses, because we will never be able to experience real long-term results when it comes to breaking free from mental prisons that trauma and other life circumstances have put us in if we are not honest with ourselves. Becoming aware of the truth is what helps us break free from cycles that we don't even realize we are trapped in. We cannot talk about reclaiming our authenticity and creating a life based on deep self-awareness and inner power without cultivating non-judgmental awareness about our current immediate reality. For me to successfully destroy the reality I had built on a foundation of trauma, lies, and wearing a mask to please other people, I first had to be honest with myself. I had to be honest about what other people had unfairly done to me, the role I played in my own suffering, and what must change for me to successfully break out of the subconscious programming that was keeping me in a reality of fear, shame, and guilt. Because these are emotions that I subconsciously weaponized against myself on a daily basis, which made it so much easier for other people to also weaponize them against me. It's a difficult thing to look at yourself in the mirror and realize that the power to change your life is in your hands. I know I found it difficult because what it subconsciously told me is that if my life remains the same and nothing ever changes, I have no one else to blame but myself. And that is exactly why I'm making this video. Because if you are watching this right now, I believe you're someone who is ready to do what it takes to build a life rooted in your authenticity. A life that is controlled by your own terms and conditions and not the terms and conditions of your trauma or your life experiences. Which is why in this video, I'm sharing with you the exact steps that I took to not only build non-judgmental awareness of what my life was like, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between, but also exactly how that awareness is what gave me the life-changing perspective that I needed to break free from mental prisons that were keeping me stuck in life. It's about time we started to take our power back because it was never meant to be given away to begin with. Okay, so in the video I posted before this one, we talked about taking stock of what is in your corner. Understanding exactly what your environment looks like so you can know the strengths and weaknesses that your current subconscious programming has given to you. And yes, I did say strengths and weaknesses because while our subconscious programming can create limitations for us in life, it can also shape our resilience and our unique skills that may have started off as survival skills that we were forced to adopt and sharpen. But over time, they can become second nature and also quite useful when we need to assess and adapt to certain life situations. I remember doing this for myself and thinking, what strengths could this seemingly pathetic reality have possibly given to me? I had truly had enough of that reality. Anyway, I digress. In many cases, the things that we perceive as weaknesses might end up being the source of our greatest strengths. We call these adaptive strengths because they develop as a result of being in challenging circumstances or environments. For example, growing up in an environment where I felt like I needed to prioritize other people's needs over my own made me feel like I need to walk on eggshells around people. However, after I worked on the wound that was underlying that behavior that I had of prioritizing everybody else except myself, I now use it as a strength because when it comes to people that I care about, I'm very good at picking up on subtle things which I use to keep track of what makes them feel good and what does not make them feel good. This is one of the things that helps me be very intentional when it comes to how I show up in my relationships, and it's also one of the ways that I show someone that I genuinely care about them. That right there is a strength that my past subconscious programming gave to me. It may have started off as a weakness, but I transformed it into a strength. In a previous video, I gave you the story of how I traveled to another country for a couple of months, and it completely opened my eyes to a whole different world. And that's because for me, where I was born is where I grew up. A significant part of my life which influences how I view the world was the same for a really long time, for over 20 years. And the thing about seeing the world from a specific point of view for such a long time is that we forget that other points of views and other perspectives that are different from ours actually exist. And in just a few minutes, I'm going to share with you the practical steps you can take to see the world from a different perspective than your regular one if traveling to another country or maybe even to another city is not doable for you right now. But first, let's talk about why it is important for you to see the world from a different perspective than the one that you normally see it from. I'm someone who was not raised in wealth. In fact, wealth is a bit of a stretch. I wasn't necessarily raised in financial stability in terms of having enough for more than just the necessities. And listen, me, I want wealth. I'm not one of those people who just wants to have a comfortable life when it comes to my finances. I don't necessarily think that there's anything wrong with that, and I respect that there are people who desire that for themselves. I just happen to not be one of those people. Because for me, I want to have enough for necessities and luxuries. So I always wondered to myself, why does it seem so easy for other people and their families to have money, but that doesn't seem like the case in my reality? Honestly and truly, it never made sense to me, ever. Anytime I was in a situation that involved me seeing other people with financial abundance, it was even extremely difficult for me to have the mentality of, if they can do it, then so can I. That was a difficult perspective for me to adopt because at the end of the day, I was surrounded by reminders of what my reality actually is. So for me, moving to a different place where I was physically separated from my regular reality was extremely helpful because it also helped me to separate my mentality from it. And that right there is where the magic happens, when your mind breaks free. It changed my perspective across multiple areas of my life, not just my financial situation. It changed my perspective about my friendships, my romantic relationships, my career, who I am as an individual, and what I desire for myself. During this time is when I realized I hate how much I felt like I was being controlled in almost every aspect of my life back at home. In my relationships, my value was attached to being the therapist friend or being the person who gives so much and rarely ever receives even a fraction of that in return. To the point where even when I knew I was being disrespected, I still found ways to justify their behavior. I found ways to say to myself, maybe it's me. Maybe I should have done this and this differently. And I decided I was done. I was done playing that desperate enough to tolerate anything so I can prove my worth role that I had taken up in my relationships. Seeing the world from a different perspective is also what helped me realize I actually don't want to go to a traditional university. And so I simply did not go. I started my university during COVID times, and so as much as I had traveled, I did most of my first year online. But even after things had started going back to normal and classes resumed being in person again, I had already started working on building my career on the side. I began my entrepreneurship journey, and something about it felt right. It felt right for me. To the point where I refused to attend physical classes and I decided to continue the rest of my course online so that I can have the time to balance both school and my entrepreneurship. But you know what? I won't lie to you. This was not an easy decision, and my parents were definitely not happy about it. Other people around me even tried to advise me against it. I definitely had more opposition than support. But I still stuck to my decision, which you and I will talk more later in the video so that we can cover how to make choices for yourself without letting the fear of rejection control you. Right now, like I promised, we're going to cover the different practical steps you can take to see the world from a different perspective if traveling to another country or city is not practical for you at the moment. Number one, YouTube channels and podcasts. If you relate to me in terms of wanting to build your own wealth, then look for channels that not only teach financial strategies, but also emphasize mindset shifts and overcoming financial limiting beliefs. And don't just listen passively and then forget about everything once the episode is done. Take notes, reflect on your key takeaways, and plan out actionable steps you can take from what you've just learned. Some well-known podcasts and YouTube channels for building your career are Diary of a CEO, and let me know in the comment section if you've heard of that one before because it's quite popular. You can also listen to people like Cody Sanchez, Alex Hormozi, Daniel Priestley, and many others. It's also extremely important to listen to people who have diverse experiences and perspectives and not just people who confirm the beliefs that you already have in your life. Sometimes listen to people whose opinions contradict yours a little bit. For example, every once in a while, I might watch a video from Andrew Tate. I don't believe in or agree with many of the things that he believes in, but I also can't deny that I've learned one or two things from him. I just use my critical thinking skills to filter out what I definitely do not want to internalize when it comes to his content and what I possibly could consider picking up for myself in my own personal life. Number 2, books or audiobooks. If you are someone who wants to learn more about personal development, psychology, or understanding your own emotions, then find books you can read or audiobooks you can listen to that were written by people who are experts in the area. Like Brené Brown, and I'm not sure if it's Brené or Bren. Let's just hope I've not butchered that name, but I feel like I possibly have. But yes, she's very well known for her work when it comes to the area of understanding our emotions. And remember to reflect on what you are learning. You can do this by journaling how their insights relate to your own personal experiences. There is also the possibility of joining a book club that likes to read the type of genre that you enjoy, or maybe even just do it with one friend. The both of you can read one book, and then after some time, you come together, you discuss your key takeaways with each other. Number 3 is community development. Try to put yourself in situations where you're doing something that is helping or uplifting somebody else. For example, volunteering at a children's home, mentoring someone, participating in community cleanup projects, or even volunteering at an animal shelter. Helping others helps us to build our empathy and even broaden our view of the world. Acts of service lead to personal growth and a sense of purpose. Number 4 is exploring locally. If traveling internationally is not doable for you right now, then explore different neighborhoods, towns, or regions in your own country. Attend cultural events, visit museums or historical sites, try out new food. That is a favorite for me. I love to eat. I do. Number 5, pick up creative pursuits. Whether that is art, music, writing, just something that allows you to express yourself and see the world from a different perspective. You can also consider attending classes or joining creative groups. I recently picked up dancing and honestly, I am loving it, absolutely loving it. Sometimes I go for a class and other times I just do it at home. And the last one, you can watch documentaries that explore different cultures, different social issues, and different historical events. I'm not a fan of documentaries. I don't hate them and I can still sit down and watch them, but I just tend to prefer movies. Let me know in the comment section what you prefer. Do you prefer documentaries or do you prefer movies? Now that we have explored how different societal and family programming can shape and limit your perspective, let's talk about how to start making decisions for yourself without letting the fear of rejection hold you back. In this section, I'll also help you identify the strengths and weaknesses that your subconscious programming may have given to you by sharing some from my own experience. But first, let's quickly unpack the root causes of people-pleasing and the fear of rejection. Molding yourself to fit other people's expectations can sometimes feel easier than the discomfort of having to face disagreements with the people around you. I can tell you for a fact that I used to believe that as well. It felt safer for me to do what was expected of me than to risk having to upset somebody around me. And if I'm being honest, being a people pleaser was, in many ways, just me being a liar with other people, but especially with myself. And I know that might sound a bit harsh, but it is the truth that I had to face for me to successfully free myself. Understanding where this behavior came from is one of the most powerful steps that I took. I asked myself, where did I learn to suppress parts of my personality? When did I start believing that prioritizing other people's needs was the way for me to stay safe? People pleasing oftentimes starts in childhood, especially when parents or caregivers were unable or unwilling to accept certain parts of who we are. Maybe they were quick to get angry, maybe they were dismissive, or maybe they only gave you their attention when you did what they expected you to do. For example, a mother who lashed out at you anytime you expressed an opinion that is different from hers, like wanting to become an interior designer instead of wanting to become a nurse like she says you should be. Or a father who only showed approval when you were excelling in school, or maybe when you were constantly busy, and as a result you grew up to think that resting is actually just laziness. These are examples of dynamics that train your brain to stay in a state of survival. You learn to prioritize other people's emotions because your well-being, your comfort, your development felt like it was dependent on you prioritizing their emotions. The more you adapt to meet other people's needs, the more your own needs become less of a priority. You become hyper-aware of what other people need and want, especially the people whose support and approval you possibly depend on. Sometimes people-pleasing is a reaction to unsafe environments. Spaces where emotions felt very volatile, very unstable, and conflict felt dangerous. You learn how to withhold your truth and withhold your opinions just so you can keep the peace. But now that we are adults, how do we move past this fear of rejection and start honoring our truth? Remind yourself that the people around you right now are not the same as the people who were surrounding you in your childhood. As long as you're respectful, many people have the ability to handle disagreement. If someone does overreact, even when you're respectful, remember that right now, as an adult, you have choices. You can remove yourself from their company, or at the very least, you can have boundaries that limit their access to you. It's not selfish, it's self-preservation. Acknowledge the harm in hiding your true needs. It might feel easier short term, but in the long run, it leads to regret and resentment. Like someone who stays in a 20-year marriage with a partner they never truly loved just because everyone else thought it was a perfect match. Or someone who spends years chasing a career path that makes their parents happy, only for them to realize that they're actually miserable in that career path. Speaking your truth might cause short-term discomfort, but holding it in and keeping it silent is what forces you to carry the burdens all by yourself. Sometimes even for years, until it erupts and ends up affecting everybody around you. And listen, doubt will definitely be present. It is a part of the old programming. So just be ready to repeat and reinforce these reminders to yourself. You did not learn how to put yourself last overnight, which means unlearning that behavior also will not happen overnight. Give yourself grace, trust the process, and take it one step at a time. Eventually, it becomes second nature to recognize when the fear of rejection is creeping in, to acknowledge it, and to still manage to move forward with your truth. If you're ready to break free from these people-pleasing patterns, then drop a rocket emoji in the comment section below. Let it symbolize breaking free from the mental chains that have held us back for way too long. Okay, so far we have looked at how programming shapes our mindset and how people pleasing and the fear of rejection take root. Now, it is time for you to strengthen your intuition so that you can be able to effectively tell the difference between what you truly desire and what you have been conditioned to desire. Conditioned desires come from the ego, and true desires come from the higher self. And your intuition is the bridge that helps you to tell the difference. But I have to mention something important. Not all conditioned desires are bad. In fact, some of them can actually serve as stepping stones for you to find your true path. For me, that stepping stone was my desire for money. I may not have been born wealthy, but I always felt like wealth was something that I am meant to experience. Even when I visualize it for myself, when I just picture myself in it, it feels natural, it feels comfortable, it feels like, yeah, this is where I belong. It's not like if I try to visualize being a lawyer or like a doctor or an engineer or something like that. Those things don't feel authentic to me in the way that visualizing wealth feels authentic. A few years ago, I realized I'm ready to start building wealth for myself, and I'm ready to do what it takes. I can definitely acknowledge that this was a materialistic desire, but it ended up leading me to my personal growth. Because the version of me who wanted wealth is not the version of me that had the ability to create it. She was not disciplined, she was not assertive, and she avoided discomfort. But there was one powerful thing that she had, which was a desire to change. That desire is what led me to study myself inside and out. And over time, the mindset shifts I had made became just as motivating as the goal itself. My desire for financial wealth transformed into a deeper journey of truth, self respect, and alignment, which made it harder for anyone to try and use my desires against me because now they were rooted in authenticity. And even when I met someone who appeared to be in a position that could be helpful for me to elevate financially, it was not easy for them to manipulate me or easy for them to convince me to compromise my values. And because I was navigating most of this alone, no therapist, no life coach, no nothing, I had to rely on my intuition to show me what would be supportive to my goals and what would actually be self-sabotage. So, how do we strengthen our intuition? Test it. Yes, I am very serious. Put your intuition to the test. Start noticing what happens when you follow your gut versus when you ignore it. Our intuition lives in our bodies. The mind wants logic and facts and it wants to reason out things. But intuition is instinctual. So if you want to hear it more clearly, do things that bring you into your body. So if you want to hear it more clearly, do things that encourage you to come into your body and connect with your body. Try meditation, which trains your mind to be still. You can either do it by yourself in silence or you can follow guided meditations on YouTube. Practice yoga or any kind of intentional movement. For me, dancing also helps with connecting to my intuition. Spend time in nature because listen, stillness is the space where your true self speaks to you. Your intuition is not loud and chaotic. It is quiet, calm, and it comes with a feeling of reassurance and certainty. So learning how to quiet your mind and to sit in silence is one of the best ways to hear it. And putting it to the test so you can see the difference between when you listen to your intuition and when you ignore it is one of the best ways to strengthen it. Because the more you nurture it and the more you listen to it, the stronger it becomes. And that, my friends, is how we begin to dismantle those mental prisons with honesty. We have explored how to cultivate awareness, how to break free from people pleasing, and how to tell the difference between your true desires and your conditioned desires. It's not always comfortable, it's definitely not always easy, but it is always worth it. Remember, awareness is not just about seeing the truth, it's about using that truth to reclaim your power, to break free from the systems that may have kept the people who came before you silent, suppressed, and disconnected from themselves. The narrative can change, and you can be the one who changes it. Now, I want to hear from you. What is one area in your life that you're ready to be brutally honest? Actually, no, not brutally, because I feel like honesty does not always have to be brutal. So what is one area of your life you're willing and ready to be gently honest with yourself? Is it in your friendships? Is it in your career? Maybe your relationship with your parents or your spouse? Share it with me in the comments below. Of course, only if you feel comfortable. I would love to know. And if you found this video helpful, don't be shy. Hit the like button. And finally, if you're ready to commit to the process of reinventing yourself, hit the subscribe button because we are in this together and your transformation starts now. Thank you for spending your time with me. I absolutely appreciate you and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Bye!